Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast, as we are now going to dive into some of the latest developments on the NFL contract front, as we are just over a day away from the beginning of the 2024 NFL season. A couple teams are trying to make these last-minute moves to get everyone on the same page, and that starts with the team that has been one of the most talked about during the entire offseason in the San Francisco 49ers, where, like I mentioned, it's been a noisy offseason for them, considering the fact that Brandon Aiyuk, his status and with the team has been very much in the air for a number of months. He was publicly talking about how they don't want him and that he was looking for a trade. Ultimately, the Niners get a deal done with him, and then the last holdout for them was offensive tackle Trent Williams, who signs a 3-year, $82.6 million extension with the 49ers just yesterday. Trent Williams is 36 years old, so he is probably just cashing out one last time. He is entering his 15th NFL season, and while injuries have definitely been a bit of a red flag for him over the course of the past few seasons, he's been sort of in and out of the lineup, but he's been available for them in all of their playoff games, which is really the biggest thing. But since coming to San Francisco, in 2020, he has made the Pro Bowl in every year that he's played. The past 3 seasons, even at his older age, he has been all-pro first team at that tackle position. So somebody that has been invaluable to the 49ers, and someone that as well, you talk about, when he did miss time, his absence was felt. As much as we talk about the Christian McCaffreys, the George Kittles, the Deebo Samuels, Trent Williams is just as valuable as the rest of them, and it flies under the radar. But additionally, if you sort of look big picture at this offense as well, there are other weapons that they can sort of plug and play when you have basically you have the best running back in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey, and then you have 2 borderline top 10 wide receivers with, I would argue, the best tight end in the league. That's definitely up for debate a little bit more. I would say indisputably has been one of the top 3 tight ends of the past handful of years in George Kittle. There are a lot of different weapons that Kyle Shanahan has been able to utilize, but there's no replacement for a Trent Williams when he's missing. And you talk as well about Brock Purdy and the fact that, a lot of people don't like to give him credit, considering the fact that he has been in such a loaded offense, which is definitely fair. And I am pro Brock Purdy. That being said, though, it's not like he has these outstanding physical characteristics that set him apart. Trent Williams being his blindside blocker is massively important because you basically don't have to worry about Brock Purdy I think he has relatively good pocket presence as it is, but it's almost just that much easier for him because with Trent Williams on your blind side, you never really have to worry. So Trent Williams gets his new deal. It is $48 million at signing and then a $25.69 million signing bonus. This adds a couple extra years. In 2021, he signed an extension with the 49ers after that first season. 6 years, $138.1 million. He was going to make just over $20 million this upcoming season, but the 49ers, they restructured the contract of defensive tackle Malik Collins to open up a little bit of extra cap space for this season as well. And Trent Williams ultimately gets this deal done, which I think is, like I talked about, massively important for the 49ers. And also just given the fact that for a Super Bowl runner-up that is running it back with the majority of the same roster. Yeah, you had some losses here and there along the margins, but all of your key playmakers are still available. They're even getting Talanoa Hufanga back this season, their former All-Pro safety that missed the second half of last year. Yeah, you're going to have to tread some water a little bit defensively, maybe with Dre Greenlaw recovering from his torn Achilles that he suffered in the Super Bowl. But again, this is for the most part, the same team that is going to have yet another excellent chance to win the Super Bowl this upcoming season. I thought it was a little bit unfortunate for their sake, the fact that they were sort of juggling all of these different contract negotiations during this year, while also keeping in the back of their mind that Brock Purdy is making not even $1 million, and that is unheard of from getting that level of production from a quarterback at that cheap of a price. Basically, one of the best contracts of all time. I don't think that that's hyperbole. Now, come at me in the comment section if you disagree there, but again, just the fact that he's been able to lead them to back-to-back NFC Championship games. He's been extremely reliable in just about every game that he has played in, especially during the regular season. I don't know how you could argue. Again, I'm not saying he's the best quarterback of all time by any means, but talk about getting somebody with the last pick in the draft and him actually turning into a positive for your team. That's just about unheard of. So, again, a great deal there, but that being said, that's going to come to an end, and Brock Purdy is going to be eligible for a new contract extension after this season. So again, did not envy the situation that general manager John Lynch had to navigate this offseason financially, but here they are. Now everybody's back. Now it's time to lock in and try and avenge not just last year's Super Bowl loss a couple of years ago as well. This is a team that's been knocking on the door for a number of years, and they feel like that this is a great chance for them to finally be able to bring it home. So that's where we're at on the 49ers at this point. Another deal that was announced yesterday was Cameron Heyward signing a new extension with the Steelers. 3 years, $54 million extension, ultimately grants him $29 million more on this deal, this restructured deal, in comparison to what he was going to make. Was a bit of a surprising move to me, considering the fact that Cameron Heyward talked about the idea of contemplating retirement at the end of the season. Cameron Heyward has been a leader for this Pittsburgh Steelers team for a number of years, and he has seen at least somewhat of a drop-off in terms of production, but still a very positive player for them and a crucial leader for this defense that has been among the past couple years. So I do believe that Heyward, again, a little bit of a surprise here, but they have some good money. We just talked about the sort of bargain at quarterback that the 49ers have in Brock Purdy. The Steelers ultimately, now I think that Brock Purdy is significantly better than anything that Pittsburgh has right now. That's at least my own opinion there. But I mean, they're not paying very much at the quarterback position at all, between a quarterback on a rookie contract and Justin Fields and getting Russell Wilson for a veteran minimum. So, they sort of have the money to spend. And again, ultimately, Cameron Heyward, it's more about what he stands for, I think, than the overall level of production. We've seen a number of some of these other players really step in and take on a bigger role for the defense in Pittsburgh. TJ Watt is the obvious name that he's been an elite player since they drafted him a handful of years ago, but they have other guys too that continue to develop for them. And ultimately, this is still a good defense. Cameron Heyward is still a positive player for them, and somebody that, again, with a Steelers team that has been treading water a little bit these past few years in terms of being kind of in mediocrity, haven't won a playoff game since 2016. You have somebody in the building, along with Mike Tomlin, of course, but, on the roster that has seen good playoff runs in the past and knows what it takes to win. So, ultimately, again, we're talking about a guy that he is headed into, at this point, drafted in 2011, so, quick math here, year 13, something along those lines. Multiple All-Pro appearances throughout his career, and somebody that, you think that you can definitely rely on from a leadership standpoint. But I think it's a good move here. We do have a comment here from Anthony Manzano. When you say Patrick Surtain Jr. broke the record for the highest paid corner, is it per year average or the overall contract? So I know for a fact the per year average is now the record, because the average annual value on Surtain's deal is $24 million per year. The previous record was Jair Alexander of the Green Bay Packers, who was at $21 million, and I believe the total of it was $96 million is the most ever. But if that's not the case, definitely be sure to let me know in the comments section. But I am pretty sure that it is the overall contract highest paid ever for a defensive back. So, as we're sort of diving into the Surtain deal as well, I feel like got most of the thoughts there out on Heyward. Again, he's not the same player that he was even a couple years ago. Last year, he saw a drastic drop-off from 10.5 sacks to 2 sacks. He was available in less games, just 11 last year, dealing with some injuries as well. It was not an excellent season. So again, I can't say that this was a no-brainer deal by any means, but I also do understand just the idea of bringing your veteran leader back and having that type of player in the locker room. But, outside of that as well, we will hit on one last very quick note in terms of contract extensions, in the fact that the Washington Commanders, this news just broke, double check here, a couple hours ago, that the Washington Commanders are signing offensive guard Sam Cosmi to a 4-year contract extension as well, to try and, secure that offensive line in front of Jaden Daniels for the next handful of years. Cosmi has been a positive player for them. They took him in the second round of 2021, and ultimately, again, it's just about protecting the future. And right now, the future is Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders. So I think that this is a positive move. Now, you let me know what your thoughts are on any of these contract extensions, but we are now going to take a quick break. We have time for one more comment here from Anthony Manzano. Surtain has the highest, then it's Alexander, then it's Terrell, then it is Ward and Ramsey. So yeah, I think that makes sense. And again, the other part of it too is that Surtain is still just 24 years old. So you're paying him, yes, a lot of money, but $24 million for a cornerback, we'll see in terms of, I'm curious how the market continues to develop for cornerbacks and defensive backs in general, considering the fact that, all of football, it all moves together even with the separate pieces. Wide receivers and quarterbacks are now, some of the highest paid players in the NFL. Outside of that, it's defensive ends. What do? Rush the opposing team's quarterback. And then corners obviously are massively important because they need to shut down opposing wide receivers and opposing quarterbacks as well. And we have a comment here from Joe who said as well, the Pats got a pretty good value with a certain quarterback in the 2000s. Very fair point there. Getting Tom Brady at a 6th round pick is also incredible value as well. And Anthony points out as well, offensive tackle, absolutely. It's just the direction this game is headed in is on the offensive side of the ball, airing it out. All of those positions that sort of impact that as well are where the money is going to go over the course of these next handful of years. So tackle is a great call there as well. Cornerback is sort of, again, one of those positions as well that NFL teams are going to need to, secure in order to keep up with the massive, exponential growth of the wide receiver position in the NFL to try and keep up with those stellar athletes. But again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. We are going to move on here to some comments that were recently made from Houston Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs, who has, I wouldn't say been a controversial figure, but he's been one of the best wide receivers in the NFL and has also been one of the loudest wide receivers in terms of voicing his displeasure with certain things. So we're going to talk about that and what the upcoming season for Stefon Diggs looks like. But first, we are going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.